What up, y'all? Today's episode is brought to you by RV Fix. Let's walk through a quick scenario. You're on your RV trip that you've been planning for months and bam, something goes wrong. Slide won't move, fridge quits, the power's out. Now, instead of cracking open a cold one, it's fixing time. Total buzzkill, right? That's where RV Fix comes in. Call 1-844-66-RV-FIX and get connected via video call with a master RV technician. No middlemen, no dealership runaround, just real help, fast. And over 40% of these issues are fixed on the first phone call. If it's more serious, we've got you. We'll order parts and get warranty approval within hours, not weeks. Then we can either ship the parts to you and walk you through the fix on a second video call, send a mobile tech from our 2,000 plus tech network, or have you drop it off at the dealership once everything's ready to roll. And even better, you get to keep your rig during this whole process. No more waiting 4 to 6 weeks for basic repairs. With RV Fix, most shop fixes are done in just 3 days. Skip the stress, call RV Fix, and get back to camping, relaxing, and making memories. Use promo code RVVoice at checkout to get a 60% discount and lock in your price for years to come. Learn more at rvfix.com. Hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the RV Voice. We're talking to Jayco, Mike Applin and Rudy Beas. These guys are over the higher end Jayco. So Jayco Eagle travel trailer all the way up to Jayco Pinnacle and North Point and Seismic, which are the high end fifth wheels. So these guys are going to tell you what would entice someone or what would entice you to buy a 2026. All the new changes, all the model changes from 25 to 26, and all the game changer stuff that's going on in the Jayco products. Jayco is one of the top manufacturers for the last 60 years, and they're going to tell you why you should buy one of the new Jaycos. So welcome, Mike and Rudy. Thank you both for so much for being here. I have never met either of you till today. So
you're a lucky man.
Lucky.
I'm a lucky man. Oh yeah, this would be fun to be around that round table for sure. Well, yeah, thank you. If you want to go kind of give me a little bit of background of each of you, because I don't know your background at all. So Mike, if you want to start, that'd be awesome.
Sure. My name is Mike Applin. I'm the Senior Product Director for all the luxury stuff here at Jayco, and that's going to be your Seismic, your North Point, and your Pinnacle fifth wheels.
And what was your background, Mike? Where have you come from?
So I've actually been in the industry. This will be my 28th year in August, and prior to that, I have a degree in physical therapy and sports medicine. So, why not get into RVs? It's almost identical, right?
Yeah, well, my back's killing me. You want to help me out?
I can help you. That's what works so good. You go to an RV show, everybody's hurt. So I can help everybody one way or another.
He sets up in the Seismic in the back. He's got a table he's ready for. He's got a massage gun. He's got heat pads. Yep. He's got all the stuff. Acupuncture, maybe?
Met a lot of good people through the years at shows, and, it all starts off with a knee, or shoulder. But,
I've had 3 knee surgeries on my left knee.
And him sitting in a camper. That's normally where he meets everybody.
That's right.
He literally sits there for hours.
Absolutely.
He answers questions, and he listens to KU basketball.
There you go.
That's his day to show.
There you go. There you go. All right, Rudy, what about you? What's your background?
So Rudy Beas, product director for Eagle. I've been doing this for about 25 years, right out of college. A handful of different manufacturers, small manufacturers, big manufacturers. Been at Jayco for 7 years, well, maybe a little over 7 years now. So obviously started here in the sales territory-wise, Louisiana, Texas, Dakotas, kind of all over selling everything. Then when we kind of broke up, split up, got into more of the fifth wheels. My background is traditionally always fifth wheels, so that's where obviously I was going to go there. So worked some territories and then got into the product director portion of it. So I've been doing that for four years now. 3 years.
I was out there a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, February, maybe. I might have met you guys at one time, just crossed paths when I came out there to see Mark and Matt at the time.
Rudy's easily forgettable.
Very. We'll try to stay that way.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to fly under the radar, right?
Yeah. That's how you survive in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like having too much fun.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well, did I freeze on you guys? No, I did a little bit.
Yeah, you're good now.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So, all right. Well, who wants to start first? I think we should start with Eagle Travel Trailers. So that'd be Rudy. If you want to kind of, what's the major changes? What would someone want to buy this thing versus like a 25? Because there's still going to be 25 on the lot. Sometimes in some places, even 24s. We'll pray for those dealerships. That's no fun. But game changer stuff as well. And do you want me to bring up your documents?
You can if you want. It's not necessary. A lot of this stuff is pretty much going to be summarized in most of what we did. Eagle across the board was decor, tweaking a lot of little things here and there. One thing we do during the winter times, work lots of shows all over the place. So we'll work Northeast, we'll work Southeast, we'll work West Coast, Midwest. We try to touch base with each quadrant. We try to get into Canada a little bit. And even though we are answering questions, trying to help the dealership sell, we are also trying to be a sponge with customers rolling in, asking, hey, what do you want? What do you want to see? What are the trends changing? Things like that. One thing that we noticed was people were looking for something a little different in decor. We've been doing really, really good with the modern farmhouse, the all white, the modern look. People are wanting to see some more colors, not drastic colors. Keep in mind, we're trying to appease the Northeast folks to the Southeast, and you have to pick one decor that fits it all. Brown's apparently coming back in the industry. The brown colors, I know that look is the same look we gave when our designers said browns are starting to make their way back. So we started introducing some of that, so kind of transitioning away from modern farmhouse, adding more color to it. We always had good contrast, but add more color into it. So that's kind of what we focused on the most. Our hardware change, lino change. I mean, it's a pretty good list. Fascia change. So just kind of gave it a facelift based on the feedback from customers saying, hey, love a little more color. And you're kind of seeing that in the industry, people adding a little bit more color there too. When it comes to, and I'll get to the travel trailers, because that Eagle travel trailers and our Eagle HT fifth wheels all kind of accumulate the same, it's the same type customer. So Eagle SLEs, though, I wouldn't mind starting with that, just because that's kind of our baseline for Eagle. We introduced it last year, actually based on feedback from you guys, to be perfectly honest. So that developed based on your guys' feedback with our executives. So we introduced a couple floor plans, and again, it's a base level. So it's kind of somebody that doesn't need all the frills and thrills. They don't need all the buttons. They just want to go camping. They want it to work. They just need the base. I have a cabin out in the middle of the woods, totally off grid. I don't have push buttons here and there. It's primitive. I love, my log fire. I love all that stuff. It's just simple. And that's kind of what we want to do. One, there's a lot of folks that want that. And two, keeps price point where it needs to be. So one thing that we don't mess with is the quality. So our bill of materials are exactly the same. So if somebody sees a low price tag on an Eagle, the first thing is like, all right, what'd you take out? What kind of quality did you take out that I can't see? I wouldn't say that's a common thing in the industry, but I'm also not going to lie to you and say that doesn't happen. So we're very careful at Jayco that we don't mess with that. That's our baseline. We build to last. That's why our warranty is where it's at. So that's kind of what it is. But, doesn't have leveling. Most people don't need leveling. It's got your electric push jacks, electric stab jacks and stuff. So it has all the baseline. So what we wanted to do with that is we didn't necessarily add a bunch to that because we wanted to keep the price point right where it was at. We didn't want to mess around with that too much. So I didn't necessarily add a whole lot to that other than our decors, things like that. Now, when you get to the Eagle HT travel trailers and fifth wheels, that's kind of the next step up. What we did there is we have customers that we're asking for solid surface. So we added solid surface. We changed our lighting up a little bit, kind of increased that. Same with what the travel trailer version was saying, increase window size. We try to increase that wherever we can. Same goes, across the board for us we just want to open it up. More natural light, things like that. BM Pro, we kind of get into smart RV stuff, but we want to simplify it. We had customers just saying, hey, I like the technology, but we still want our hard buttons. So what we did is our BM Pro, our smart RV system now has all hard buttons to function everything. So whether you choose to use the app where you can sit in a lawn chair and you can roll out your awnings, roll out your slides, do all that. You can do that if you want, but for the old school that just wants hard buttons and simplicity, those buttons are there for you. So
analog.
Yes, very, very true. So we're kind of best of both worlds, and we've been working with that with the company for well over a year now. So that was something that we added to it. Some of the other stuff, we've had people asking for black glass refrigerators. GE was, we use GE appliances, our 10 cube refrigerator. So we added black glass to that, which customers appreciate that more versus the aluminum door. It doesn't put in dings, pings, all that kind of stuff over time. So that's kind of what we added. Little things, customer feedback, USB-C outlets, because everybody's charging everything, and every kid has probably 4 or 5 things they want to keep charged. The USB standard outlets don't charge fast enough, apparently, so they need the USB-C. So we kind of upgraded that throughout, so everything has USB-Cs. Of course, you need to have 110 outlets next to your bedside as well as USBs, because you have CPAP machines and cell phones and alarm clocks and, air filters, whatever. So we added all that stuff in there, and it's all due to customer feedback. This is stuff we get from shows. So when you get to that, so we did that with the HTs. Regular Eagles, we kind of upped it a little bit, put in more expensive door fronts like raised panel, which kind of gives you a little higher end look. That's, of course, where everything's kind of upgraded. Your stove's upgraded, your refrigerator's updated or upgraded. 2 ACs are standard in that, ceiling fans. I mean, that's as high as I go before you get into Mike's world with the luxury fifth wheels. So we focus more on floor plans there. Again, we're trying to keep that price point the same as what it is consistently. We knew tariffs were coming, so we wanted to be careful with not increasing and basically taking our products out of the price point that it is currently. Plus, my world is awfully competitive. I think there's only 18 other products out there that I compete with. So, you kind of got to pay close attention to that. So other than the changes that we made, so we
yeah, I'm telling you, I got more stuff to, I got a lot more fighting to do.
But
good.
little things, a lot of, and that's what those enhancements are for, is a lot of little tweaks and stuff like that. But we're just kind of honing it in. Floor plans was something we focused on the most, which we're seeing awesome residuals from a lot of our new floor plans that we've been creating the past year. Retail wise have been going great. I think Eagle, we've been showing 20% growth for almost an entire year, and that's market share growth. Yep. So I don't think we've seen that in quite some time. So we're pretty excited. It just shows that the tweaks and changes that we're making that the customers are asking for is helping. The new floor plans. What's that?
Resonates with the customer.
Yeah. And the SLEs, that kind of proves to us that, hey, there's a lot of folks out there that don't need all the gadgets. And that thing is selling 2 floor plans. They're selling like hotcakes. And really? You guys, your store has actually recommended a couple new floor plans that we'll have at homecoming based on the SLEs, stuff that you guys are looking for in your market. So there's a triple slide SLE that's going to be there by homecoming, so it's September timeframe, and that's based on your guys' feedback too. So
very nice. I'm looking through here trying to keep up with you because I got a couple documents that I'm looking at. You got the Overland 1 solar package. That's going to be standard across the customer value package, period.
Yep. So
that
solar now, what's that?
Was that not the prior year?
Some of it was, yeah. So there's a lot of streamline, yeah. So I kind of I had an option somewhere, some Eagle lineups. It was standard and others. Solar's just, it's not going anywhere. People are understanding how it works better. So it's something that needs to be forced. So Overlander 1 solar package, which is 1 solar panel, charge controller, that's going to be standard across the board. And then we have an Overlander 2 if somebody wants to upgrade a second panel. In my world, it also adds an inverter because we invert prep almost, probably 3/4 of our camper can be ran off. If you have an inverter, can be run off a battery. So depending on USBs are always 12 volt, and then your 110s, we put about 7 or 8 switches or outlets in there that can be ran off the inverter as well. So it was a popular option, and you typically will take your popular options and roll them into standard. makes it easy for you guys to order. That way, it's there every single time. When it comes to West Coast, everybody's got to have solar.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like you said, you're boondocking in your cabin. They're boondocking here every time, basically.
100%.
I mean, yeah. There are RV parks, but like a lot of it out here is just like it's free land. Go do what you want.
Yeah. And to be honest, my cabin, there is no power. Everything runs on solar. I run everything on solar, so I'm very familiar with it. I don't know it'd be a boring trip if I didn't have solar up there. Really, I can run my TVs and all the ceiling fans and all that good stuff. So.
Super cool. A question here for you. I saw on the exterior enhancements, it looks like the sidewall fiberglass has changed from 0.045 to 0.05?
0.05, yeah. So barely anything. The customer's not necessarily going to notice anything there. I only put that there for service, customer service, if they ever need to know. So I try to, that's why you're seeing all those technical names with the cores and all that. I literally put everything there, half of it. You probably don't care about. I just put it there because depending on what customer service, anything like that. So for you and me, 0.05 doesn't mean anything. It's just a little bit of a thicker sidewall.
It's not a bad thing when it comes to trees, baseball,
Thicker's better. That's
whoever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
It does help.
One thing I didn't point out was the skylight. I don't know if you saw that. The skylight and the shower increased size. So we did a 30 by 22. I'm not the smallest dude in the world, and typically when I stand in showers, you only have just enough for your head to stick in there for the tall guys, and that's your shower. So what we did is a 30 by 22. You did it too.
I did.
Yeah.
3 floor plans. Yeah.
So now on a 30 by 48, that 30 by 22 fills up almost the entire shower. So now I don't have to stand in one spot. One, I know a lot of people are getting rid of skylights. I'm not 100% certain that that's the best thing to do because one, it takes your headroom out and it takes maybe 4 or 5 inches out of there. I get the light, totally understand the light, but during the day when you don't need a light, you got all that natural sunlight coming in. So I don't know. So we don't necessarily jump on things that we see trends right away. We'll test it. If it makes sense, if it grabs teeth in the market, then we'll kind of look into it. But we're not one to kind of jump the gun and like, hey, there's a new doodad, let's go throw it in. That is one thing that is very unique. Working at other manufacturers and then coming here at Jayco, the R&D facility, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important things that this company has. And it's the greatest job ever. I hope to heck before I retire, they'll allow me to do it because
we're going to fight over it.
We are. It's a handful of old dudes that are just about ready to retire, and they literally bring all the components in and break stuff. They test it, hot, cold, run water on it. I mean, they'll literally try to break it. Like a ladder, a weight limit on a ladder. You see a sticker that's 250 pounds. And there's a new sticker going to be out that's apparently 300 pounds. Well, for us, we will test it for 900 pounds. And if it holds 900 pounds, we'll accept 300 pounds. I mean,
Welcome to Jayco.
Yeah.
That's good math.
Yeah. I heard that today and I'm like, really? I mean, really? So
they do some awesome stuff over there in R&D. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy stuff.
But Mike's worked at a lot of different manufacturers. Obviously, I did too. But man, that's a big difference. And that's why we don't mess with the quality. That's why we don't mess with the build materials that we use. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is.
It's the Jayco build. I mean, we only know one way, and that's that way. And that's through all the testing. It's proven out through the years.
Yeah. Is it still the same guy running that shop? Because he was there for like 60 years or something like that, wasn't he?
150.
Yeah. He's still kicking. Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're fighting for that job.
Yeah.
Like we get to break stuff all the time.
That'd be perfect. So.
That's not all bad, but yeah, you guys also have a great employee retention rate, which is another big thing why Jayco is it sets them apart from everybody else. You got same people that are there for years and years and years. They know how to build things. They know how to build the Jayco product. So that goes a long ways.
Jake, when you remember during COVID, everybody was saying, "Oh, COVID units, right? Everything was a COVID unit. It was just so horrible." There's some truth to that in some instances, in some cases, maybe even some manufacturers. But we look at it and we because we're here every day. This isn't just stuff you hear on the internet or forums, people talking. We live through that. And it was the same exact people that worked here for the last 25, 30 years. And, you know, the mindset at Jayco, they don't wake up and go, man, how can we build a worse RV? You know, that's not their mindset. And so when you see that, it was unfortunate through COVID because there were some instances like that. But instead of us building more and more and more, you know, when you came out here, you probably saw where we built those 4 brand new state-of-the-art PDI facilities to where we have the 100% PDI. We have the iPads that are instantaneous back to the line. You know, it's not 2 weeks later we have a meeting about it. If they run 3 or 4 in a row and they have the same issue, it's at the line. It's being fixed and addressed right there. We did that investment at Jayco more so than trying to build more units. So, you know, to Rudy's point, you have R&D, you have PDI, you have guys on my line. We have their little signs out front with their parking spots. I have 4 guys on the luxury line that have been there 35 years plus to up to 40 years. And it's the highest per capita, if you will, person employee at Jayco works at the luxury line. And I think we average 12.7 years per employee. That's longer than a lot of manufacturers have been in business.
Businesses in general.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things that we love to talk about because it's real. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a huge difference in the long run of things, especially the making of a brand and the consistency of a brand is super cool. I didn't know that was 12 along the luxury lines, 12.7 years across the board. That's insane. And
well,
just
can I talk on that too real quick? We were just rewarded with a new state-of-the-art facility as well for the luxury line. Right now, we're trying to get the feelers out because every vendor that we've talked to and every person we know in the industry, square footage wise, it's actually, everybody's telling us that it's actually the largest fifth wheel production facility in the industry. So we're super excited about that. We just started about a week and a half ago, transitioning out of the old plant into that one and being prepared for model change. And this thing it's 80,000 square feet larger than the state-of-the-art buildings that me and Rudy both had previously. So, I mean, you're 200,000 square feet plus.
So Mike really wants to start. Yeah. Mike wants to talk to you about apartment complexes that they're building out of that plant here shortly.
Yes, I can pick you up.
Yeah.
You need a place to stay.
Yeah, 2 bedrooms. What's 2 bedrooms?
Yes, we're annexing it off.
You can put it up in the rafters. You'll be all right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Every person that's walked in that new plant is just going, oh my gosh, this thing's huge. So anyway, we're real happy about that. I can't wait to hit the 26 model years right out of the gate with it. So,
perfect.
But to answer, to follow up, to finish up there with the Eagle, I mean, what's the difference between 25 and 26? I mean, other than little things here and there, there's not a lot. I mean, 25 is still going to be sought after. 26 is going to be sought after if you like the interiors. I mean, we just keep honing stuff in. We don't make drastic changes. And floor plans are going to be key. Have a lot of new floor plans people are going to be looking for.
That's probably one of the biggest reasons for people to be looking at the 26 versus 25 or 24 is, the more floor plans all the time. Yeah. We don't make all these huge drastic changes, but at the same time, guys at a show in 24, hey, we're 5 years from retiring, right? We've heard that before.
Yeah.
Well, they go to retire and that floor plan doesn't exist. Well, you can see the number one sellers are going to stay, right? The best sellers, and then we bring in a new crop for them to come to the dealership to shop. So,
yeah, I didn't know you guys kind of sifted through those. I didn't know. I know that they kind of came and went. I was only at the dealership for about a year and a half. I moved from sales to marketing quite quickly. Just tired of beating the pavement when I was selling, but it was cool to see, and just in those couple model years that things changed, and then you guys come out with new lines in general. You got rid of the White Hawk a couple years ago, right? And now it's the Feather. It's a Feather or whatever. I know I was talking to those guys. The new front cap looked like it. I was like, that looked like a White Hawk, but they don't have those no more. So it's just interesting how innovative you guys are in a different manner versus, throwing something new all the time. You're throwing new floor plan, but you're not changing everything inside. You're slower to change, but you guys do what works. You guys have the Jayco elevator pitch that has a Magnum Truss roof system, the J Command system, all those things that are meant to keep you on the road and keep you camping and keep these things up longer. You got the 2-year warranty on top of that because you believe in your product, because of the R&D facility. You have a 12.7 retention year, which is nuts across the board. That's just insane. So the Jayco difference is a real deal. Generations of family fun, literally generations
that's
of
the Jayco DNA. Yep, that's our DNA. Yep.
Yeah. So very cool. I love Jayco. Go blue, but that's big fan. It's a quality product from their entry levels to all the way to their luxury. So, Rudy, is that everything that you have to touch on with the Eagles?
Yeah, we've definitely had other model years that have had a lot more tweaks and changes, but like I said, we're focusing more on the floor plan lineup. Drop the lineup, drop the floor plans that have kind of ran its course, bring on new one, keep it fresh, keep the dealers or the customers wanting to continue to come to the lots and look at the new stuff, new products. So, yep.
Awesome. Well, Mike,
Yes,
it's your
sir.
turn. You
Okay, I'm ready.
to pitch?
I'm ready.
All right. Do you want me to bring any of the documents up?
You don't have to. I mean, that was kind of for you just to kind of give yourself a little outline if you wanted to, or if you wanted to go off the cuff as well. It's fine with us, whatever you need to do.
That's fine. Well, I will just kind of go along here. I'm actually going to share a little bit because it helps me stay on screen.
No problem.
So, perfect. I would start with the just the North Point, because North Point, and we can kind of go into the Seismic because it's a toy hauler afterwards. So North Point, Pinnacle, Seismic would be great, or
Perfect.
whichever way you'd rather.
Yep, that's perfect.
Where'd it go? I'm not doing this very well. Gosh darn it. You can go ahead and start pitching. I'll get it up here.
Well, that's no problem. So, to your point earlier, I mean, we always want to give a reason to a customer to buy, right? I mean, you're not going to see us just run the same stuff every single year and just rest on our laurels, because if you miss it one year, why would you stay with it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're always pushing that envelope. And when we get into, the higher price points, obviously there's just more stuff. You're talking over 4,500 parts and pieces, a mile and a half of wiring, all this different stuff. This isn't just an entry level $10,999 piece. That's a great down payment in this price point, So, we always are doing things to push the envelope, but we also want to make it user friendly. One of the things, we don't get into the weeds on every single thing, but we had a company approach us about TPMS for the tire pressure monitoring system. And, some people that's a big deal. Some people, whatever, but every vehicle has it. Their tow vehicle has it. Their passenger vehicle has it. And Rudy, I'm not sure exactly who found this. Rudy may have been the one, but we found a company that's the second largest supplier of TPMS in the industry, and it's called Spartan Link. And, just to tell you the size and the scope of this company, they supply Tesla and Porsche and Mercedes-Benz and BMW with theirs. So, when we go out and look at stuff, we have a price point in mind that we're looking at. But in the luxury, I don't really think price first. I think bells, whistles, industry first, right? I mean, if I can load this sucker up and give people more than what they expect for the money and the value, I think that's a win. And, if you're inside of your tow vehicle, or even your passenger vehicle, how you have your monitor, the new big screens, and Tesla has the gigantic. Now it shows up on that screen inside your tow vehicle. So no more having to put it on the app, no more to sit there and, pull it out all the time. Now it's on the big screen. And we thought that was a huge value add, because I literally don't know anybody else that offers that. And when Rudy was talking earlier about how we don't always like being first with the gadgets, I think he's being a little modest with that, because he's come up with some pretty cool stuff in this industry. I think I've come up with a couple things, and if we can be first to the dance with something, trust me, we want to be first with that stuff. But it goes through extensive testing. I mean, we've been testing this Spartan Link for well over a year before we pulled the trigger on it. So that's just one of those little gadget things that we're doing. You were talking earlier about solar, and, in my world, I try to design for everybody, but at the same time, lot of people sit on a pad with 50 amp service on a Pinnacle. They're not usually going off the beaten path. Well, for the last 2 years, I think I may have been the only one in the industry that did this. I didn't even offer standard solar. I mean, a J-Flight had standard solar. Pinnacle, North Point, Toy Hauler, Seismic, no standard solar. You could opt into it, and we had 3 levels of it. We had one that would do everything but make your breakfast for you in the morning. I mean, it was, $23,000 full retail, and it was bad. It was a really good system. But when you don't have very much take rate for it, it just has to go. Yeah. And especially if after a month of running, all these units, a day, and then all of a sudden you get an order for the Overlander EXT system, which is, man, I mean, it's a very extensive system. So for this year, we're only going to put on the Overlander 2 that he was mentioning earlier, that has the 30 amp MPPT controller to it, 2 200 watt panels. That'll be standard. But we're not going to do a mid-level and a high-end anymore. We just didn't have any take rate on it. So we stick with that one. And if people want to, scale that from there, there's certain things they can do to scale it. Or if they want to do their own system, look at the forums. They're doing it themselves anyway, or taking it to a specialized solar dealer that specializes in that stuff. So we're just going to turn that over to them and do what we do best, and that's build high-end luxury fifth wheels. We never claim we were the solar gods by any means, but that's one example.
I don't see a lot of these people boondocking. When they have a North Point, North Point, was it last year, 2024 to 2025, when they went 102 wide or 100,
Correct.
101?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't see a lot of these things going up weird trails and being boondocking. Now they might park at the mom and pop's place or whatever.
But here's the comical part of this is these sales guys of ours, right? As soon as you give them it as an option, they're going to check the box. We had an 85% take rate on something that was, we took away on purpose because you didn't need it. So guess what? If you get into that high of a take rate, I put it back on standard again this year. So it'll actually land to the dealer actually better than it was as an option. So from that standpoint, your solar is going to be a little less money this year than it would be before if it was an option. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yep. We went to a tankless water heater. That was another thing. They went hand in hand with the solar. As soon as I saw every manufacturer doing tankless, I'd done this for a while. It's 26 years back 2 years ago, and it scared the bejesus out of me. If something's not proven, and if a whole industry goes to it, you can imagine if 350,000 RVs all had issues with them because of a water heater. They weren't proven. We did go through R&D, and I had 2 years of data to go by, and they all passed. And once I'm using a Suburban model in mine, I think you use a Furrion in yours.
You're Suburban now.
He's a Suburban. I'm a Suburban. I know Matt in the big destination trailers is using the Suburban. So we went to that. It's a 60K. And I looked at all the data on it through warranty, and I'm like, we're just move forward with that. One thing we did do, in fact, I got an email from a dealership today. A customer was inquiring. They heard about going to tankless this year, and they asked if the 16.2 gas electric Suburban would fit in that same hole, and it will. We designed it to do that. It's not going to be as fun to do it after the fact at a dealership, okay? But it can be done. And we wanted to make sure that if it's, it's just universal fit back and forth.
Yeah.
So that was another big deal, that we hadn't done for a while. So I wanted to mention that. As far as the interiors are concerned, that's one of the big differences between a Pinnacle and a North Point. The Pinnacle has that handcrafted, that it's all hand painted, all hand 90 sheened with the high gloss cabinetry. We're staying with that again. Our accent color, our lower base cabinets were vintage wash gray. This year it's more, was it country linen in that one too? Is that what we call that one? So it's a little bit of a light tan to go with it. It looks great. But a couple years ago we were first to introduce that performance fabric furniture instead of the the pleather that all peels and cracks, and customers are really excited about. They just love that since it lasts about 6 months and then it's destroyed. So that was one of the biggest things that we got the compliments on the luxury is, we dipped our toe in the water. We debuted at the Hershey show a couple of years. And I mean, you were 2 hours into the show and we already had customers already saying, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for getting rid of that. Well, then was that last year or this year? Like last year, you guys went across the board.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, from J-Flight all the way up, then use the performance fabric as well. So that's kind of one of those things that Jayco, remember we were talking about being tip of the spear and being first isn't always the best thing. Well, in this case, I think it was because, not having to worry about that with our customers, particularly with the 2-year warranty. That's a big deal not to have to worry about it peeling and cracking and stuff like that and having the stain protection.
But it was also research too. You had anybody that was replacing their furniture that already had a camper.
Yeah.
We were told it was a 96% take rate that they would go to cloth versus replacing it with the vinyl that they had currently. And we're like 96%.
Yeah.
So it was research that we had done. So it wasn't like we're just kind of throwing it out there. Let's take a stab at it. I mean, it was, we were very meticulous.
Due diligence for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a home run ever since. In fact, when we were talking about the stain protection and all the different stuff, I mean, people are like, well, my dogs or my pets, or they're going to do this to it and stuff. I can tell you they're going to tear up about any fabric you put in there if they're going to dig and chew and whatever on it. But that's probably the best move I think we ever made was going to that performance fabric. The compliments have been huge. So staying with that, of course. But, I won't go into every single thing that we changed, but, if we could put in a larger, like a 65-inch TV somewhere, we certainly did. I always fought it because I always thought it was hilarious. We always provide a trash can, and I always told everybody on the product development team, I'm not going to add a second trash can just because of principle. That $5 trash can, holy cow. Not gonna spend the money. So this year we have a second trash can, so everybody's giving me a hard time about it. Lazy Susan and the floor plans where we can. A lot of people talk about Lazy Susans. In fact, you guys have your own RV nerd. On staff, right? Well, when Rudy's in bed, I'm up still looking at forums and stuff because I have no life. So.
Gotta keep up with him, Rudy.
Yeah, it's he goes to bed at 9:30. I mean, he needs all the beauty sleep he can get.
Hey, but for the record, I have never seen him beat me to work once.
Well, that is true. Hey, you got to pace yourself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't want to be all out of it by noon. I mean, jeez. But that's one of the things that I personally do is I do a spreadsheet on those forums, and last or 2 years ago that was the number one hit list on everybody's forum, including our own, was the pleather. And when something makes a number one like that, it just speaks volumes. I mean, just give them what they want, and customers are happy. It's really weird concept. Give them what they ask for. So. Anywhere where we could do more storage, more things that are residential for storage in the kitchen, places for cookie sheets, or, we talk about that dovetail jointed drawers, where we bought the machinery and we do our own in-house. We don't buy the drawers, we make them. The convection microwaves with the air fryers, the, all GE suite of appliances, anything that we can do, pull out butcher block cutting boards, that was another one. That made the list. I think it was my number 2 on my spreadsheet. Last year we incorporated above the trash can where you could do your chopping and dump it right into the trash can with a hole. Well, then you had customers at shows go, well, how do I clean it? I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, soap and water? I mean, like,
that's a good idea.
I had no idea what they were talking about. And they're like, no, to take it off and remove it. Well, guess what? This year you can take it off and remove it. So we don't just build these things. I mean, Rudy and I we love what we do, but we don't do it because we love it so much. I mean, my gosh, they have to buy it. And if we can't give them what they're asking for, good luck. So I think they're really going to see a lot of features that way this year that, they've been asking for every year. We can't do them every single year. I mean, sometimes we have to space them out. But, last year, Rudy was the one who actually found that Nuvo drinking system that we have, the freshwater drinking system, and it's all citrus based, not salt based. What we've talked about it before in the past, but we have an exclusive on that system, and they're based out of Salt Lake City, and they don't even want to sign another OEM with it. They're like, you guys have already outsold what our predictions were and what our projections. We just want to deal with you guys. Well, not only is it on a North Point, it's on a Pinnacle this year, it's on Seismic. So from Eagle all the way up, we have the Nuvo 3-cartridge freshwater drinking system.
That's awesome.
And it's just those things that we want to do to just give the customers what they need, but also what they're asking for.
Very nice. Yeah, definitely. You guys you're innovative. You're staying up late, doing the Lord's work, sounds like.
Yeah, it is sometimes.
Doing the Lord's work.
Amen.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. You got it.
See, and you thought Josh the RV nerd was the only one that did it. My gosh.
Staying up late, reading Reddit, pulling reports. What do we need to know?
Absolutely.
Oh, shoot. So is that mostly the North Point, or do you want?
That's mostly on the Pinnacle right there. But Mark touched on it too. Larger windows, taller slide out rooms. I can't get up too much higher. I'm maxed out on my slide height. We grew it another 3 inches, but I put a really cool ceiling fan that actually works in there. And you can't go any higher. You're going to hit the fan blades on it, But we moved everything up, grew everything on the sizes of those things as well. One last thing. I've never seen this in 28 years. Maybe somebody's done it. Maybe they've done it in motorhomes. You just don't see it in towables. But, little things like making your adjustable shelves in your kitchen, your overhead cabinets. You ever notice how everybody always puts a shelf right in the middle, a permanent shelf? Okay, that's great. How does this box fit? Or how does this plate? So every one of your kitchen overheads are going to have adjustable shelves. So I can take those and make them any height that I want in there. We do it in pantries, but we don't do it in overhead cabinets. So that's another new thing as well. So not to bore you to death, but it just goes back to that customer feedback and giving them a reason to come to the lot, to buy a new one over last year's model that doesn't have it. So.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm trying to read through these, trying to keep up with you. The Pinnacle and Seismic, basically what you hit is all across the board, all three, right? Yeah,
so I was focused on Pinnacle there, but Pinnacle and North Point, same. Seismic, there's going to be some different things that we'll talk about, not necessarily like those adjustable shelves, for example, or the floor plans aren't always conducive to the pull-out, butcher block, or, things like that. It's a size thing when it comes to the interior for the floor plan. But one thing on North Point and Pinnacle, and I try to really explain this to customers because a lot of people wonder what the difference is between the two. And what I tell them is nothing. There's no difference between a North Point and Pinnacle, and that is 100% intentional. Mark touched on this earlier remember he was talking about the Ford reference with the XLT all the way up to a Platinum package. What I try to explain to a customer is I want to give the customer choice, but I'm not going to start all over again and put it something better or better construction or better insulation or anything like that in one of my products. They are the same. But think of a Pinnacle as like a Denali package, right? It's the same exact truck, engine, transmission, yada, yada, but you're buying a package. That's literally what we're doing with the Pinnacle. It's a Pinnacle package, but it also has two different look and feels as far as the cabinetry, because if somebody walks in to the Pinnacle for whatever reason and doesn't like the cabinetry, that high sheen, you can go right into the North Point that has more of a matte finish to it or maybe a 60 sheen to it versus the 90 sheen. And you're not starting all over. You don't think, oh, gosh, I'm settling for a North Point. They're the same. So that's one of the things and we also do that for your salespeople too when we're training, is we want to give them that ability to upsell and downsell, not have to start all over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They don't have to say, well, which one would you buy? I like the 38 FBRK, but I really like this floor plan on the North Point. Customer doesn't have to feel like he's giving something up and not getting the top of the line. They are the same exact unit.
Yeah. I want to say when I was 2021 and 20, so yeah, there was 22s on the lot. I thought the one was an 8-foot wide from the North Point to the Pinnacle, right? But were the cabinets totally different? I mean, the interior felt
they were hardwood styles. Those are hardwood styles. You have lumber core styles on the North Point. You also have like a rear cap on the back of a Pinnacle. We do some things that are standard in a Pinnacle that are optional in a North Point. Otherwise, they'd be the exact same product. But one thing we don't do is just do 100% of the same floor plans. Like our number one selling Pinnacle floor plan is not available in North Point. Number one selling North Point, not available in Pinnacle. So we mix that up on you a little bit, but at the same time, don't think that you're going, oh, this is so much better or this is so much worse. But it's funny because we get a lot of people that compare things that are, let's just say, a few price points down to a Pinnacle. And I just go, really? You know what I mean? Because if you walk into a Pinnacle and you do the feature benefit all the way through, I might have 75 things that something in the next price point or price point down from there don't even offer as an option, let alone available. So for the value, I mean, and the stats, to Rudy's point, the stats are reflecting all that too. I mean, it's top 3 selling fifth wheel in the industry by price point. So very proud of that too. And thank you, Bish, for that as well. You guys help out with that tremendously.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. I mean, I'm not the one selling them, but yeah.
You used to.
Yeah, I did. It was a good time. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Those were always fun to walk through. I loved the North Point because you walk in, it just felt like a very modern vibe. And then like at the time, I always felt like it was like the 65 and plus would be owning this at the Pinnacle. But that was the difference, at the time. Yeah.
And that was intentional. Yeah, that was very intentional on that as well. Yep.
There was, definitely. I mean, there was a little bit of a price bump, but not a whole lot of difference at the time either. So do we want to hit on Seismic as well? Yeah,
so on the Seismic, that got the biggest amount of enhancements, if you will, for this year, starting with the brand new exterior graphics package. We never offered paint before. Late 2025 model year, we started introducing the paint. We have 5 individual paint packages to choose from on that as well. And, we just took things like, say roller nightshades. We had pleated shades in it before. Well, okay, not a big fan of them myself. If I'm not a fan, why would a customer be, right? Yep. So, enhance that. We put in the Nuvo drinking system in it this year. We added that Overlander 2 solar package standard. And it already, by its price segment, it had the most standard features of any luxury toy hauler in the industry. I mean, we did the generator standard, the ramp patio standard, the rear steps, the 3-season room. We're already running 17.5-inch wheels and tires on it. I put a suspension system on it this year, the Moride CRE 3000. So it has the 5-star handling package instead of the 4-star. Just stuff like that. We just wanted to up the game a little bit because it sits in a price point where it lives. Real money is $90,000 to $100,000. I mean, that's where the dealers are selling it at. It's no secret. It shows up in stat surveys. And anybody that knows toy haulers or that price segment, or if they're competing against it, if they're another brand, knows what we're doing in that price point. And we've been owning that price point for a while now. So that's where we live. That's where we wanted to stay. And then we just wanted to put some extra enhancements on it to make it even more difficult to sell against. How's that?
Yeah. I love the Seismics. Every time I walk in one, I very much enjoy what I see.
Well, I appreciate it.
They're super cool. Yeah,
we did add. We were bound by that old plan I was talking about. I say old. When Thor purchased Jayco, they built. That was the first thing they did, is build me and Rudy and J-Flight brand new facilities, right? So it's not that old. But I couldn't build bedroom slides in the toy haulers because the scaffolding, when they designed it, wasn't long enough. Okay. So this new building, I was very loud, and anybody that wanted to hear or didn't hear, I would scream from a mountaintop, 50-foot scaffolding. And we got 50-foot scaffolding. So the first thing we did on the 399 and 395 is you have king bed slides in them with front wardrobes and optional queen-sized beds up there. So number 1, number 2 seller, they're already going to be better off with bedroom slides and front wardrobes. So we can get the washer and dryer up front instead of having to put it in the back. And then we also did a really cool optional half bath with we have our own vacuum bonding and laminating machine that we do here. We don't pinch roll anything. So we vacuum bonded and laminated the half bath wall. So now it's all retractable. You can move it out against the side wall. So any toy you want to put up in there, it'll fit even with the toilet and the sink. And then we used out of our Class Bs, you've probably seen the sinks that retract out of the wall that you push back up, and then you can take the faucet and flip it over. We did all that stuff in it. So to have things like that in this price point, I mean, you just don't see it. So we're pretty excited about that. Added a foot longer to our. We don't have the Seismic Luxury brand for this year. That's kind of important to talk about. We had the Seismic and the Seismic Luxury. We shelved the Seismic Luxury, but we did bring the 4113 with the side patio. It's been our number one seller since its debut, like, I don't even know, 8 years ago or however long that was. And now it's the 413 Seismic. So we'll have it down. And we had it at the Tampa Super Show. And there was $40,000 difference between the two for the same exact floor plan. So, I'm pretty certain that we're going to sell a few of those in a Seismic. That's the one that has a patent on it, so we don't have to worry about anybody copying it from us.
That's good.
So yeah, just, I mean, like I said, I don't want to bore you to tears with all the enhancements, but there is one last thing that I wanted to talk about on the Seismic. You know, you were talking about off-grid.
Yeah.
We're going to put 3 13.5 airs on it standard.
Yep,
they're going to be soft start. They're going to have the high efficiency so that you can run it off of your MPS generator, your 6.0 that's powered by Yamaha. So now you can run all 13 or all 3 at the same time off your generator. Based off of that before with our 15,000s that we had in our own generators, you could only run 2 out of the 3 unless you were plugged into 50 amp service. Then you could run all 3. So to be able to plug into 50 amp service and run all 3, be plugged into 30 amp service and run 2, or run all 3 off the generator. I'm sure somebody out there is doing that. I just haven't seen that many or anybody really doing it. So if it's not the first, it's the second. There's not that many are doing it. So pretty excited about that. I think it'll really resonate with the customers out west. Well, for that matter.
Yeah. Do you guys see yourselves doing like a full solar package, as in like that's it? Because you said you had a little bit back and forth.
2 is the highest we're going to go on there because having the generator standard, it'll give them the best of both worlds.
Yep.
But in the last 3 years since we had the second level and then the third level of solar, if we built 20 of those in 2 years, I'd be shocked. 20.
No,
I mean, that's nothing. So it just shows you people talk about it, but they don't always buy it.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of it's not a necessary need, especially when you're pulling around. You know, out here west, you got some other toy hauler brands that they kind of they cater to that, but they still have the big generators on them to keep those things full, to keep those things running out there. And they go in the desert. They go to Baja. They do all the things. They do go up in the mountains and do the desert more up there. Even they got the nice side by sides. But having solar, is it completely necessary for what they do? I don't know. Are you really going to take some of these toy haulers? They have upgraded suspension, which I saw that was one of the things on here that helped. But are they really going to beat the snot out of them trying to get to these places? Probably.
In fact, we only had the second level was the highest you could go in the Seismic was the Overlander 4 package. We didn't even offer that full-blown EXT and baby Seismic. That was only available in the Seismic Luxury, and I bet you we sold less than 5 all year.
Really?
That's like, God, it sounds awesome, but man, nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
I think when they find out that it doesn't run the air conditioners as long, I think that's their whole reason for wanting to invest in that is, well, I can run my AC when I'm off grid. And when they find out, what do you mean I can only run it for a few hours? And then I'm completely depleted. Oh, I guess I do need my generator. So that's kind of what we run into when you start throwing numbers at them. When I used to live in Southern California, I moved out there in LA right out of college. And have you ever heard of Glamis before? Glamis is the sand dunes out there. I mean, You'll have tens of thousands of people out there on a big holiday weekend. And, other than a generator, there wasn't anybody doing solar back then unless they rigged it up themselves. And even then, it wouldn't run the ACs. So to be able to have this and have 3 13.5s and run them off the generator, I mean, that's big time. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the use case goes down when you're talking that much solar. Unless you're really off grid and that's the only thing you want to do.
You got to really want it to buy that system, and only 5 people wanted it.
Yeah.
5 people out of 2.5 years.
Yep. I mean, it was crazy how low the take rate was. Even my boss, when I showed him the data, he couldn't believe it. He's like, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible." We're like, "Yeah, not great."
Yeah, so you got rid of the luxury seismic options, but you still offer the full paint on the seismic.
That's why we did that, because now we can offer full body paint and still be tens of thousands of dollars less than people that are competing against me or me competing against them. And we just hit a super sweet spot with that price point. And then, just give it a few extra features that it didn't have before on top of what it already had. Man, I'm really excited to get this baby out to market.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, because those things, when we had an order come in when I was in Lincoln, and it was the coolest RV that came through. I mean, we had the Valors that came through, the Alliance Valor, it pops, but when we had the full titanium black that came up, literally everyone was out there and just drooling over it. Like, this thing is way too cool.
Well, it's funny you say that, because, and I won't mention other manufacturers' names by any means, but when they're out there on the lot, we have a lot of dealers that are intentionally parking them right next to each other and letting the customers go in and let them decide. And then when they look at it and go, yeah, that's almost $30,000 less. And they just are like, what? So it's a big deal.
Where do I sign?
Yeah, we that way.
Heck of a way to sell an RV. Just put them next to each other and tell them the price.
It works.
Oh, shoot. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to touch on or that we didn't hit on during this podcast?
I mean, I think we hit about everything, actually. I mean, if there's anything that we missed, let us know. But, Rudy?
No, that's why I gave you all the extra time. I knew you'd use
Mine was only 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
It just felt longer.
Mike
you guys
lives
are
the
fun.
podcast, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I have a face for him.
Awesome, guys. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you guys. It looks like most of the interior, it's like the interior stuff, kind of what we hit on with Matt and Mark. If you haven't watched that, check that out on the travel trailer side of things with Jayco, J Flights, and J Feathers. But this is like the kind of the interior touches, right? You went from like black handles to like a little mocha colored. And I'm looking at this thing. You have the decor dune gray. You have that also across other ones as well. That's kind of like, little minor touches here and there, but you also have that TPMS system within the luxury lines that are, Porsche, BMWs and stuff like that. I did have a question on that, since you said the TPMS shows up front on the monitors in the actual vehicles now for the trailer, which is super cool. Is there a day and or time when the backup camera for the trailer is going to pop up on the screen? Or it is already doing so?
Looking at it all the time, finding one that works is the key.
We've asked the suppliers that do backup cameras if that's possible. They kind of look at us and smirk a little bit. I don't think the automobile, and that's kind of the only reason the TPMS is working that way right now, is because it's an app based, so you can download the app on the screen. So other than that, the auto industry doesn't really marry up so well with the RV or OEMs and components and pieces. That's kind of what we gather from the intel that these guys are trying to accumulate that info, and they don't want to talk to each other very well. So that's the struggle that we find. At least that's the answer we always get with OEM products like that, especially backup cameras.
Well, the technology's there. It's just not always there for fifth wheels.
True.
Yeah.
Well, with Mike, you staying up late and reading on Reddit, and Rudy, you getting in early, maybe you should team up and figure it out.
Hey, together we share almost a 4-hour day.
Yeah.
Well, get it together. We need to figure this out. You guys will make millions that way.
I just put in a full half hour.
Yeah. Maybe we can help it.
Yeah, we probably can.
Yeah.
We're pacing ourselves.
The day's almost over. Awesome, fellas. Well, if there's nothing else, is there nothing else? We're good. We got to hit it all.
I think we're good.
Can I? One last thing, which we didn't really talk about. We didn't talk about the decor and the North Point and Seismic. They share the dune gray. I wanted to make a point that there isn't modern farmhouse anymore. There's no white cabinets and things like that you had in the 25s, 24s, 23s. And so to that point, if you are modern farmhouse people or your white cabinetry, you might want to check out Bish's inventory pretty darn quick, because it's a light gray, it's a dune gray, it's a totally different look. And so you might want to get out and check and see availability, because when they're gone as 25s, they're gone.
Yep. Be checking used RV Trader or whatever it may be. They'll get traded in, I'm sure. Did you guys was that a customer feedback thing with the white cabinets? I was curious for my side of things, because for me, I probably wouldn't want white cabinets because of, you're out camping, goober it up, whatever you're doing.
Yes and no. I mean, how long ago is that? 7 years we debuted it ago?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Our market share went up every single year versus when we had brown, or brownest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what, in fact, then we almost shared the same cabinetry from a J-Flight all the way up to a Pinnacle.
But every year that we've been doing shows, we didn't hear anything about, I'm tired of seeing white. The past year, probably season, definitely this season, we had a good bit of people coming in. When are you guys changing to whatever color?
It was time. So, there's a time and a place for it still, but there was a time for us now to make that change, and we made that change.
Yeah.
I think we could have kept running with it. I think tastefully we did it in the right spot. Stacy Stewart, is our interior decorator designer. Does a wonderful job of mixing things around. So, to their point earlier, talking about a hospital room or a morgue, we didn't want that stale white feeling everywhere. But sometimes less is more. And then this is the year we a Pinnacle still has the white uppers in it, in a Pinnacle, but North Point will not, and a Seismic won't. So I just want to make sure that everybody knew that.
No more farmhouse. Then so they got more. You guys got a lot more flat, like earthy tones. It sounds like that's kind of where the industry is going towards. I mean, you can see that in houses too. It's happening. You still see the whites, but the shiplap, you'll get that. But it's more, not so much glossy, a lot more like flat tones, which is
100%.
That's the difference in North Point and Pinnacle. Glossy, more matte. So
very cool. Well, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys are
thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolute right to be around. Would love to be there sometime. And
why we never get anything done?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like only 4-hour work days don't get a whole lot.
Well, we'd have to put in 5 hours.
That's a strong 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's good
Take
stuff.
others 12. We get done 4.
We're machines.
Oh, shoot, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, really do. And this is everything you need to know about Pinnacle, North Point, and Seismic for 2026 and all the model changes for that. So everybody out there, stay tuned for more from the RV Boys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, fellas. That was cool. That was awesome.